Welcome to the Self-Reliant Living Show, where we talk all about a self-reliant lifestyle to save money, live greener, eat healthier, and be prepared for anything so you can take care of the ones you love in good times and bad. I'm your host, Jennifer Osich, a homeschooling mom of 3 boys. I'm the author of the Preparedness Planner series, and my husband and I are the lead teachers of Self-Reliant School, a website dedicated to giving you the skills and confidence to take care of yourself and your community. Be sure to stop by and pick up your free videos from inside Self-Reliant School that will get you started growing, cooking, and preserving your own food today. You can pick these up at selfreliantschool.com/free. Now, on with the show. All right, so I have notes here because I don't want to forget anything, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about water kefir, but it's super easy to make, so don't worry. I'm just having notes because sometimes I get tongue-tied and I want to be sure and get everything in there. Okay, so basically this is, sometimes people confuse this with kombucha. It is a probiotic drink. In other words, it has good bacteria in it, but it doesn't have any caffeine like kombucha. So you can make it, and it's fizzy, and it has nutrients in it. It has probiotics along with minerals, and you can make it low sugar. So it's something that you can enjoy all the time, and it's good for you, right? It has some really great nutrients in it. This is also a great alternative for people who have problems digesting dairy, because it doesn't have any dairy in it. And we're going to talk in just a little bit about the difference between water kefir and dairy kefir. So hold on there just a second and we'll get to that. Okay, so the thing is that a lot of people have not heard of this drink before. I think one of the reasons is that it's kind of hard to produce commercially. And so unless you're making it in your kitchen, then you may not have heard of it. You might not have, there's not advertisements and things like that out there for it, because it's hard, like I said, to produce commercially. Now they're trying to come out with some commercial brands, and some of them are labeled as water kefir, but they're not true water kefir. It's a different process, so just know that. But in any case, it's super easy to make. If you have some grains, you are in business, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it here in just a second. Okay, so the water kefir, we'll talk a little bit more about it when we, well, actually, let me just get them out, and so I can show you. So what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to be making water kefir, but I'm going to start out with doing the second ferment. So I'm going to start out in the middle. And the reason why is because all of my grains are in the water kefir. It's been fermenting for a while, but I want to get the grains out, and I want to show you what they look like. And they are a SCOBY, just like you would have in kombucha, only they have a different sort of framework. They have a different makeup, and it's a different strain of bacteria, so you can't make kombucha with kefir water grains. That might be a great idea that popped into your mind, but it's not gonna work out that great. But we'll talk about that too in just a minute, because we'll talk about some variations and how to get them used to some different liquids. So I don't want to ever say never, but yeah. So if you're going to make true kombucha, you would need a kombucha SCOBY, or as we demonstrated on the last show, you can get some store-bought kombucha and add a little bit of sweet tea and make your own SCOBY. So be sure and check out that show if you're interested in kombucha, and that is selfreliantlife.tv/050 to go to how to make kombucha. Okay, but here we're doing water kefir. So you have bacteria and yeast in the form of a SCOBY, and the reason they're called grains is because they look like grains or crumbs, and that is just the form that the bacteria and yeast have taken. And so what they do is they'll go into some sugar water, and they will ferment, and then you've got this wonderful drink called water kefir. Okay, so, and this is doing a little bit more than you would ferment something like for wine or beer, because this is yeast and bacteria together. So it's kind of a combination of fermenting. And if you're interested in understanding more about fermenting, I have a show on that too. You can go to selfreliantlife.tv/004. And then we talk all about all kinds of different ferments. And if it's sort of swirling around in your mind going, well, I don't understand, because people say that sourdough is fermenting and kombucha is fermenting and beer is fermenting. And that's true. And they're all a little different. And I go over all of that in that show. So if you want to learn more about that, be sure to check that out. Okay, so back to our water kefir. You only need 3 ingredients. You need kefir grains, water kefir grains. You need water, and you need sugar. And that's it. That's it for the first ferment. So just to make the grains happy and getting them to ferment, that's all you need. Now for the second ferment, which is what we're fixing to do here, because like I said, I'm sort of starting in the middle, and then I will show you how to put the grains into a fresh batch of sugar water in just a second. So what I need to do is go ahead and set this up for a second ferment. And I'm looking around here. This is not my kitchen, and so I have to bring stuff up. And I did forget one thing. So if I could have Joseph go and get my sugar water, because I'm going to add a little bit more of this. So if he's listening, he'll go and get that, because I have it downstairs because I forgot to bring it up. I left it to cool. So can you get him to do that? Bill's sitting here. He's producing the whole thing, and he does the switching, and he does all of the graphics and switching of the camera. So anyway, we're gonna start off in the little mason jar of sugar water. He knows exactly where it is because I showed him before I came up here. Okay, so starting with the second ferment, what we're gonna do is you can add almost anything that you want to the second ferment, and we'll get into basically, you don't really even have to do this part if you don't want to. You can go ahead and just bottle it as is and drink it that way. And there are some instances where I would recommend doing that. I will talk about those too in just a second. Okay, so let's just say that you have got your kefir water and it's ready to go. You have brewed it, and now you're ready to bottle it. Okay, so like I said, you can do it it's downstairs in the little container I showed him right before we started. Anyway, what we can do is we can take any kind of fruit. So I have some ginger here, and I want to show you because we have a lot of fruit here, and I'm going to show you here some different ideas for some different recipes. So what we can do is we can take some ginger, which is what I have here, and I'm just going to put this into the bottle while they're running down and getting my extra sugar. And if they don't get it, it's fine, because you really, really don't need it. I'm just putting that in there because I have boys and they like it a little bit on the sweet side. If you just wanted to put fruit in here, you could, and like I said, you don't really even have to do this step if you don't want to. So it's okay. So it's fine. We'll just work without it. So if you want him to come here, I'll tell him where it's at, because he knows exactly where it's at. I showed him.
They said they have no idea what the container is.
Oh, it's a mason jar. Joe, huh? It's a mason jar. Hey Joe, you know the little mason jar that I put in the container where the ice cream goes? Yeah. Okay. He's gonna go get it. Okay, I swear, if that boy's head was not connected. But anyway, all right, back to the ginger. Like I said, you don't have to do this if you you don't have to put sugar water in there or even the ginger, but I'm going to, because that's our favorite is with the ginger. And I'm gonna add a little bit more sweetener because my boys like it just a little bit sweeter. So go ahead and put this in there, and then while he's getting that, I will show you some of the other fruit. Now this is dried, You could be, yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, I got it. Yay. Okay, so while I'm doing this, I want to show you in this other camera, I want to show you some of the ideas that we have for different recipes. So here is some apricots. These are dried apricots. And notice these are not the sulfured ones. They're not the bright, shiny orange ones because that's a preservative and you do not want that in your water kefir at all. So be sure and find the unsulfured ones or even better, dehydrate them yourself. And then you can be sure that there is no preservatives in there. And then here's some dried cherries. And that's an idea. I would cut them up just a little bit more than I have here. I'm going to show you a piece of the ginger that I'm putting in there. Blueberries, yum. I have some over here that I've already bottled with some apple juice and blueberries. So it's apple blueberry water kefir, yum. Okay, so, and then I've also got some pineapple, so you could do that. Make sure that all of your dried fruit has no preservatives in it. The best thing to do is dehydrate everything yourself. And we have a course if you need help with that. We have a lot of different ideas in terms of how to dehydrate and build up a food storage. So I would definitely check that out. I know Bill's over there, he's putting some stuff, some links in the comments as I go through stuff. And he probably has a link for this bottle because you do need a bottle with a swing top here that is airtight because you want to keep some of the CO2 in so that it will be fizzy. Okay, so I'm showing you the fruit. Now, this is the dried fruit because I'm partial to dried fruit. It's super easy. I do it all the time. But you could put fresh fruit. You could put frozen fruit in there. And then, like I said, if you don't want to put fruit at all, you don't have to do that. Okay, so back to the ginger. Let me show you the pieces that I have so you can see how I've cut it up to go into the bottle. See, so you'll definitely want to take those apricots and those cherries and cut them up if you put those in there. And then, of course, just putting this in there makes it just so pretty. Like I said, if you don't want to mess with the little bits of stuff in there, you don't have to. You don't have to put it in. It's fine. But like I said, I'm doing it. It's beautiful. And this ginger is so good. It's our favorite. It really is. That's why I'm making it here. And that's what I usually make is the ginger because it tastes so good. Okay, so now you could stop here if you wanted to. Like I said, you could just, and it's good and it does have a little bit of a sweetness still. But if you have kids that you really are trying to get off of soda, what you could do is you could take some little bit of sugar water, that's what I have here, and I used sucanat. So that is that's a sugar that has not been processed as much. So that is something that I would recommend because it's got minerals in it, and the minerals are good for the grains. If you just have table sugar, that's fine too. It'll still work. Just keep in mind though, at some point, if you continue to brew and brew and brew, you may have to add some minerals to your brew to keep your grains healthy. So, okay, and I'm gonna stop too because I always forget comments. Oh goodness, so I'm gonna make sure that I am answering comments. Bill is in the comments and he's putting links to things like the bottles. Seen the bottles like that? Yes, at IKEA. Yes, they have them at IKEA. You can get them on Amazon as well. So yeah, but these are the kind of bottles that you might brew beer in. And the ones that are dark for beer brewing, those would work just fine. I like the clear ones because I like to see and I can usually tell what the flavor is too, and I don't have to have labels or anything. So, and it goes so fast in our house that having it dark, it doesn't really make that big of a difference because, like I said, it goes so fast. My kids drink it like there's no tomorrow. Okay, so then what I would do, like I said, if you want it very much like soda, you want it a little bit on the sweet side, and I have some sucranat here. I'm going to show you in case you've not heard of that before, but this is a more unprocessed sugar. And you can also use that when we actually make up the first batch, which we'll do here in a second. But let me add this. And there's no sort of rhyme or reason. All I did was add a few tablespoons and then mix it up so that it dissolves, and then I'm just going to put it in here. Like I said, you do not have to do this step if you don't want to, but know that you can. Okay, so, and there's not really any rhyme or reason to the amount. You want it less sweet, put less. You want it more sweet, put more. Now it's going to ferment a little bit faster the sweeter it is. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, so I've got this in here. Now I am going to get the grains out. And did I bring my bags up here? Yes. Okay, so I just have the grains floating in here because I'm gonna strain it. And I'm fine with doing that. If you are, because I know some people just make kefir water like it's, you know, just every single day almost. So if you're somebody like that and you don't have time to strain, you can get bags to put your grains in, and then you can put them in your brew. And then they'll multiply inside of the bag, so you just take it out, and then you've got your whole bag full of kefir grains, and you don't have to strain. You've got everything contained here, and then you can divvy it up and go on and make other batches. So the only thing I would say is to make sure that you get natural cloth. And then what I do when I get new ones is I will boil them and make sure, you know, they're good to go in terms of cleanliness, because you don't want to introduce anything that is foreign to your culture. So you don't want that. Okay, so here I'm doing my second ferment here, and I'm going to get the grains out so you can see what they look like. And then we're going to make up the first batch. Like I said, we're doing it from the middle because all of my grains are in here and I didn't want them to dry out or anything like that. So I'm going to take this strainer and put it here. You'll probably hear people say, oh, don't ever use metal. And they usually say that with kombucha too. But I find that the stronger your SCOBY is, the less that matters. So in the beginning, if you're brand new to everything, I would definitely do the plastic. But then after a while, if all you have is metal, then it's fine. And I don't mind using plastic here because nothing is heated. So I don't worry about anything transferring. Okay, so now, I think some just fell through there, but that's okay. I'm gonna show you these up close in the up close camera. So what you would do is, and normally, like I said, I was just saving all my grains for you. I usually do not have this many grains in like a half gallon or 1 quart. I usually don't have that many, but I was saving them for you so you could see them. And I would usually fill this up just a little bit more. You could leave probably an inch and a half. But if this is all you have, this will work too. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So you can just close it, and then you could set it on your counter for, I would check in 48 hours. If you have a really, really warm house and you put a lot of sugar in there, you might check after 24. It just depends on the temperature and everything that's going on in your house. Depends on the season too, if it's winter or summer, all of that. Okay, so let me show you what these look like. I'm gonna put them here so I can move them out and in front of the camera so you can see. Okay, can you see those? So that's what they look like. That's the SCOBY, and those are called kefir grains. So, and that's what you're going to use to make the kefir water. So if you get them from somebody, what you need to do, it's like I said, this is not like kombucha where you can make one from almost nothing, right? This is it, and sourdough where you can just make it just like, you know, from flour and water. This is not like that. You need to get some of these grains in order to go ahead and make kefir water. Okay, so I am also going to monitor comments. Like I said, sometimes I am not good at that, and I just love talking to you guys. And if for some reason I don't get to your comment, just know I will sometime today. So don't Don't worry about that at all. I go back and answer every single comment. I'm so thrilled that you're here and so thrilled that you are watching. Like I said, it's my favorite time to get to interact and talk to you guys. It's wonderful. Okay, so back to my notes so I don't get too far off track. I want to tell you so much about all the water kefir. Okay, so yes, that's how to do the second ferment. Like I said, we started in the middle. So if you are brand new and you're like, whoa, Jennifer, that's why don't do that, you can go to the show notes and I go step by step and I start at the beginning. Okay, so now let's just say that you got some grains. You got grains from a friend. You can get them from Amazon. I think Bill has a link there too to get some that are viable, because you do want to make sure that you're getting them from a good source. Let me put this over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this recipe where I'm going to use 1/4 cup of kefir grains, and I'm going to use 1 quart of water. Okay, and then I've got 1/4 cup of sugar. I've got my sugar water right here. Okay, but after you get going and you have a lot of grains, and maybe you're just loving the kefir water, want to make all kinds of different flavors, and maybe you are having a party and you want to show off a bunch of recipes. Okay, so in order to do that, you can go up in terms of doubling the recipe, and you can get a gallon size container. This is a 1/2 gallon size container, and I usually do 1/2 gallon at a time, but you can definitely do, I just don't have room on my counter because I've got 4 gallons of kombucha, I've got kefir water, I've got sourdough, I've got all these ferments. So, but whatever is convenient for you, you can move up in terms of volume. So, okay, and Bill has some links also for the different size containers if you are looking for ones that would be suitable for brewing water kefir. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take 1/4 a cup of your kefir grains, and then you're going to take 32 ounces of water, and then you're going to take your sugar. So, and this, like I said, this recipe that I'm doing is for 1 quart, and I've got a 1/2 gallon size jar, so I'm only going to do half, but so I'm hoping that's not too confusing. So I'm only going to do half, so I have room to work and I don't have overflow and whatnot. Okay, so normally what I would do is I would go ahead and dissolve my sugar, sweetener, whatever you're going to use. You can use any kind of sugar that comes from sugar cane. That is really what is recommended. So let me go down here and talk about the different things that you can use. Okay, so sucranat, turbinado, evaporated cane juice. You can use white sugar, like I said. Those others are going to add minerals, so just keep that in mind. Okay, and then I get asked, can you use honey, molasses, maple syrup, those sorts of things? Yes and no. Okay, here's the thing. Those sweeteners are really, really concentrated, and so you could use them, but what I would do is I would cut the amount with the sugar water, because if you cut it, then there's going to be some sugar water in there, and it's not going to be so intense, and your grains are going to be healthier. So there's that. So what you would want to do is just use those sweeteners for the flavor and not so much the sweetener, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's possible to use them, but not as the only sweetener that you have, because the grains won't be healthy if you use that concentrated sweetener. Okay, so let me go ahead and mix this up. Okay, so let's just say you've got your sugar water, and usually you're going to dissolve the sugar, so this will probably be warm. This particular one is cold because it was in the refrigerator. I put it in the refrigerator before we started the show, so it would be the right temperature. But you don't want this super hot, because if you have this hot, then you're going to kill your grains. So you want to make sure that it's room temperature, or just a little bit on the warm side. Okay, so you're going to put that in, and then you're going to put your water in, and I'm just going to pour this in here. Like I said, this is a half a gallon mason jar, and I'm going to make 1 quart, so I'm only going to do half. And I'm flinging water everywhere. Okay. Ooh, this is really filled up. Let me spoon a little bit in here. I have my boys helping me, and boy, they're big helps. They are very big helps, and I love them very much. They just get very excited, and they just do more than is required. And he filled it up really, really a lot. Okay, so we're going to do half. Okay, that's about good. And I don't have a measuring cup, so that's my bad. But you're going to want 1/4 a cup of grains to put in here. So I'm just going to guesstimate 1/4 of a cup. And if you go a little bit over, it's not a big deal. The thing is, though, it's going to ferment faster. So if you have a bunch of grains, you don't want to have half grains, half liquid, because it's going to go like super, super fast, and it's not going to have time to do its thing. Okay, so I have more grains in here. You can see in here. So I'm going to take those. I have a little bit of liquid in there, and I'm just going to keep that. I'm going to make another batch a little bit later, and we'll talk about how to store them in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to take about 1/4 of a cup of these grains, and then I'm just going to put them in here. Now, like I said, this is the first ferment, so let's just say you have gotten your grains from a friend. Maybe they came in a little jar similar to this, and they would probably have some liquid. If you wanted to add that liquid, you could add the whole thing. So then I'm just going to add, like I said, about 1/4 of a cup here. It's probably a little over, but that's okay. All right, and then I am going to just cover it. I have a coffee filter here, but you could use a cloth, it just as long as it's breathable. And then I'm going to go ahead, put a rubber band around it. That makes sure that nothing gets in it, dust, insects, pests, kids, maybe. And then just set it on your counter, and it will be ready. In about 48 hours, I would start checking. And then if it's not, you want to taste it. And if it's still really super sweet, then I would let it go to 72 hours. So that's the first ferment. You saw the second ferment. So it's just that easy. It's just super, super easy. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the grains and how to store them and how you might receive them and what some people do and don't do. Okay, so when you get them, if you buy them, they'll be in a liquid. If you get them from a friend and you're running from their kitchen to your kitchen, then they might not be. But the thing is that some people, what they will do is they will take them out of the first ferment and they will rinse them. I haven't found that helps or hurts, but if that's if that's what you're used to doing and you've had success with that, then I would keep doing that. But you can do that if you find a problem, if you feel like that your grains aren't multiplying, or you feel like the grains are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You could take them and rinse them and see if you can get a little bit more out of them that way. Some people do it with tap water. I wouldn't do it with tap water. I would do it with some clean water without chlorine. And so that's something that you could try in terms of troubleshooting. But they will come in a liquid. You could rinse them or not, depending on what you want to do. What I would do is I would just add the grains and the liquid to my first ferment and go from there. If you got them from a friend, then that would be fine, just to continue it on, and then just be sure to get them from somebody who has really healthy grains if you're buying them. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you can do with the grains if you are tired of brewing kefir water, because it's one of those things. It's kombucha is a little bit longer ferment. It's a week, sometimes 2 weeks, And then, so you have a monthly sort of routine. Kefir water is like daily almost. It's a lot of work. So there might be some times that you want to take a break. So what you can do is you can take your grains and you can put them in a little bit of sugar water, and then you can put them in the refrigerator. And they should last 3-4 weeks. Take them out, and then you probably go through a first ferment, and if you still don't want to, bottle that or whatever, and you still want the break, then what you can do is just put them back, right? And with fresh sugar water and all of that. Okay. If you want to take a longer break than that, then you can try to dehydrate them. I wouldn't freeze them, but you can try and dehydrate and then see if they'll come back. If you do dehydrate, make sure you do it under 118 degrees. I would do 85, 90 degrees because you don't want to kill the enzymes or the bacteria, because it's a living thing. So if you put the temperature on the dehydrator too high, you're going to kill those. So those are 2 ways that you can take a break. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about variations. Instead of using water, I'm looking at my notes here and making sure that I've got everything and not leaving anything out, and I'm also checking on comments, because if you have questions, I would love to answer them, and making sure we're still live, that too. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to my notes here. So if you want to use something, because a lot of people will ask, okay, well, can you use something besides water? Yes, you can, actually. You can use coconut water, or you could use juice. The only thing is, though, if you're going to use those, what I would do is I would use my extra grains, because if you have a healthy SCOBY, if your bacteria and yeast are multiplying, it's healthy. So you're going to have extra every time you do a batch. So what you could do is you take those extra grains and you can put them in coconut water or apple juice or whatever it is that you have, and then you can ferment those and do the same thing. You can do a second ferment and all of that, and see what you think, if you like it. And then you could maybe use them again. The thing is, though, if you use something besides sugar water, the health of your grains may deteriorate. So just keep that in mind. If you just don't like sugar water for whatever reason and you want to use something else, and you want to use the same grains, and then what you could do is you could put it in coconut water or apple juice, some kind of juice, do the ferment, then on the second batch, go back to sugar water and sort of alternate, and that should keep your grains healthy. So you can do that. Okay, let me make sure that I am just not leaving anything out. We talked about the second ferment because we started with the second ferment. Okay, so one more time, it takes about 48 to 72 hours for your first ferment. So it just depends on the temperature of your house, depends on if it's, the season, whatever it is. So you want to check it. I check it after 24 hours, but if you could wait probably 48 and start checking it and then go from there. If you want something that is not that sweet, you can leave it go even a little bit longer. And then, like I said, you can drink it that way. You could put stevia in it or something like that, and you could drink it that way. One more thing I want to mention is if you do use a coconut water, because a lot of people use coconut water like for a sports drink, you could absolutely do that. But I would not recommend doing the second ferment with that. I would just take it from the first ferment and then have your sports drink with your fermented coconut water. That's what I would do. But you can experiment. You can certainly try doing a second ferment if you want. I'm not sure I would want something carbonated when I'm trying to drink something all hot and sweaty from exercising. Okay. So another question is it normal for the grains to multiply? And I think we talked about that just a minute ago. It definitely is. If you have a healthy colony, healthy SCOBY, healthy grains, it's going to multiply. So you'll have to allow for that. You'll have to expect that. If they don't multiply, just if they don't double, that's okay. It's not that they have to double every time. And they should multiply at some point, because that's a sign of a healthy healthy grains. But if they don't on the first or second ferment, or the first time, I should say, the first ferment or the second first ferment, don't really worry about it too much. Just as long as they're healthy, if you're getting the sugar water, if you're getting it over time to be not as sweet, because that indicates that the grains are consuming the sugar, then it's fine. So just keep going, and you will eventually get your grains to multiply. So it is normal. What to do with extra grains? Give them to a friend. That's the best one, I think. You can also do some of those variations like we talked about. I have heard of people giving them to animals. I have not given them to my animals, but I'm thinking I might try that because I like that idea. Or you can put them in the compost. So there's other things that you can do. I wouldn't throw them away. Try and put them in a garden or something, because that does not set right with me, is to throw them away. Okay. See, we talked about storage. Okay. And here's the one. We mentioned a little bit about it just a minute ago, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. If you look at this recipe and you go, oh, sugar, there's sugar, there's sugar. Okay, yeah, there is sugar. But if you do the first ferment, like I said, and you let it go, the sugar's not for you, it's for the grains, and they're going to consume the sugar. So if you let it go, definitely over 72 hours and maybe a little bit longer, keep tasting it, then it is going to be not so sweet. The grains are going to consume all of the sugar, and then you can take that drink, which is still super, super nutritious for you, and put some stevia in it. So just because it has sugar in the beginning, don't think that it has to be this massively sugary drink, because it does not. It can be for people who are cutting back on sugar. So just know that. Okay, my grains are multiplying too fast. What can I do to stop them? Okay, so if your grains are multiplying too fast, then what you need to do is either use less grains or less sugar, maybe both. Just depends on what you're doing. Like I said, it's 1/4 cup of grains, 1/4 cup of sugar to a quart of water. So try that. If they're going super fast with that recipe, maybe go back to 3 tablespoons of grains and 3 tablespoons of sugar and see how that works. Okay, and we talked about how to store your grains. So I think we have covered most things. I want to show you, because I have some that I bottled last night. This is our 3rd show on beverages, and we have had some bottles pop with fizz. So these I bottled last night though. So I think we might get a little tiny bit, but maybe not a lot. So I want to warn you about that. And if you don't get a lot of pop, then it's okay. I do want to show you before I open it, because you can just see the bubbles like in the bottom of this bottle, and I want to show you those so you can see that it is super healthy drink, and the probiotics are in there, and the bacteria is doing its thing. Is that the coolest? I think it's beautiful. It's really pretty. Okay, this is the one. This is the sugar. Listen to me. Now I've got sugar on my brain. This is the ginger. And then this one is blueberry and apple juice. Now, when I say apple juice, what I did was I just filled it instead of the sugar water. When I filled this one over here, I mean that I filled just this much worth of apple juice. This is not kombucha that had its first, listen to me, water kefir that had its first ferment in apple juice. It was sugar water. I just flavored it with the apple juice. So let me see if I can open these and get just a little bit of a fizz close to the microphone. Okay. Oh, I lied. It was a big pop. I didn't think it would be that big. Okay, and I'm not going to open the other one because I feel like I got lucky with this one. But let me pour it so you can see. And then I want to talk just a couple minutes about a few more variations. Okay, so you can hear it. Can you hear the fizz? Okay, I'm going to show you a close-up of it because there's still bubbles in there. Okay, and this isn't chilled. I would normally put them in the refrigerator after, because what I will do is I will go and burp them because they will continue to ferment in the refrigerator, but I will burp them and then I will put them in the refrigerator and then the ferment will slow down and then they'll be chilled and they'll be super, super, super good to drink. Okay, so I have, like I said, I have some different recipes over here and you can go to the show notes to get those recipes. Another thing I wanted to show you is that I have canned some grapefruit juice, and you could absolutely use this to flavor your kefir water. And then I also have over here, I have some strawberry lemonade concentrate. And so this is like a syrup, and you could absolutely use this to flavor your kefir water as well. So if you would like to know how to do this, how to can your own juices, I have apple juice that I canned as well. You can see that's a half a gallon jar. Then you can go to, you can become a member of Self-Reliant School, and we have a canning class. We also have a dehydrating class, so you can learn how to dehydrate the fruit that goes in the water kefir. So it's just sort of a, you know, a way of life type thing where we can enjoy this wonderful beverage and we have this fruit and syrup and things like that on hand. So I encourage you to look into making water kefir because it's just so good for you and it's so good tasting. Then I also want to, if this is something that you are thinking, gosh, I've got to learn how to do more of this and what is this stuff about brewing and whatnot, I also want to invite you to check out our brand new home brewing package, which includes our ebook from our home brewing course and some videos that go along with it. And you can go to selfreliantschool.com/homebrew/package. I think Bill's going to put that as well in the comments. Now, if you're a member, you'll get that whole entire course as part of your membership. So, but if you just want to sort of dip your toe in a little bit and you want to check that out, I would love to have you do that. And of course, if you're interested in doing all of this stuff and just making food from scratch completely, like I said, dehydrating your own fruit, your own vegetables, making your own juice, because we started out with apples with this. This is not from a store or anything like that. Same with the syrup and the grapefruit juice. So if you're interested in making your own food supply that way, then definitely check out the membership. So with that, I want to say that being self-reliant is not about being selfish or just about you. It's about you taking care of yourself so that you can take care of the ones you love. Take care until we talk again. I'm so glad you could join me today. Here's what to do next. Head over to selfreliantlife.tv to pick up the show notes for this episode and to watch replays of older episodes. To go directly to the show notes for this episode, go to selfreliantlife.tv and then without a space, type a / and then the number of today's episode. You can watch this show live every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, live on Facebook or the Periscope app. Don't forget to stop by selfreliantschool.com/free to get your free Self-Reliant School videos that will help you get started living a self-reliant life. Also, if you're listening to this show as a podcast and you've liked what you've heard today, please subscribe through Stitcher, iTunes, or your favorite podcast app. If you're on a mobile device, just search for the Self-Reliant Living Show. If you're on a laptop or desktop, just go to selfreliantlife.tv/iTunes. And while you're there, please leave a review. I love to hear from you. You leaving feedback makes it easier for others that are interested in living a self-reliant life to find my podcast. Take care until we talk again.